Hello, everybody. Happy Monday again here in beautiful December, along with Mr. Neil Villapiano here on another episode of Flamescast. Number 69 is where we're at here in
Nice.
Flamescast.
Very
Nice. Good
nice.
stuff. Yeah, hope everybody had a good weekend. Getting closer to the Christmas season, which is always exciting. Got our Christmas shopping all done. Neil's almost moved in, it looks like.
Yeah, almost. You sure? Sure. It's. I'm telling you, man. It'll be like March by the time I think everything will feel settled. But we'll see.
Nice.
We'll
Good. Awesome. Yeah, I mean, we can jump right into it. Obviously, very successful with the Flames for the past two games, winning back to back, which is just fantastic news
see. Just
at this
fantastic.
point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Dustin Wolf kind of found his form. We'll talk about quickly just the one on Saturday. But yeah, Flames got a shutout win, 2-0 against a reeling Mammoth team that's just been kind of brutal here the last couple of
We
weeks.
we do have
Yeah.
some breaking news with the Mammoth. Logan Cooley is out indefinitely with a lower body injury after um, crashing near the net against Vancouver on Friday. His leg, if you go to the replay, his leg hits the post, like the far
Oh,
post, and it just, yeah. So and that's tough
man.
because Cooley's had himself like a hell of a year,
Yeah.
and that's one less guy that the U.S. is going to be able to look to in terms of the
And
Olympics.
also to like real quick touch on Clayton Keller as well too for his dad. I mean, that's such a
Yeah,
it was a blow, man, and you feel awful. And
tough.
well, love what the Stars did last week though when they made him the first star. So
That is
yeah,
correct.
it's tough to see that, but yeah, I mean, not great right now for the Mammoth either. Just a bit of a slide on a team that was like kind of hoping to. I mean, they had a great. I mean, the funny thing is like as much as they've been reeling, they're still in a playoff spot, believe it or not. They're in the last wild card spot, so to still be able to do that, to go through the last like 2 weeks or so where they've just been reeling, and now like you come into this week and we'll see what happens if they can maybe flip a switch a little bit.
Sure.
Um, but yeah, going to Saturday, Dustin Wolf was the star of the show for the first time in what seems like a long time, making
Hmm.
27 saves, and it just seemed like highlight after highlight, he was just making big save after big save after big save, and it was just for me, it wasn't about the win. It was just about okay, great, he's got his form, like that's still good to see. I thought to me like on a night where on nights where wins and losses don't matter as much, it was just nice to see Wolf kind of play really well and back to his potential again.
Yeah, he certainly needed it. You look at just obviously the way that this season has gone for him, not to the level that I'm sure he expected, nor certainly us expected. But I think when you look at the last couple of games that he's been in, you could start to see that he's found his groove more. And this was a great example of that. He was seeing everything. He just looked confident there. He wasn't over pursuing the puck. He wasn't making, he didn't have to go over and make some flashy kind of save. He really just stayed square to it. And I think that was important. And honestly, even giving up 28 shots from a defensive perspective is not that bad overall.
It's average.
Again, yeah, it is average. I mean, and the Flames had below average, but what do you expect? What do you expect
Shocker.
from a team that can't score very often? But no, nonetheless, you could just tell, like, you could tell how the team was playing, like, as the game went on. There was a more level of confidence because Wolf was playing so well. And now you're hoping that we're kind of in this weird position where both Cooley and Wolf are maybe at that pretty solid level, which begs the question, especially with the Flames being 6-2-1 in their last 9 games.
No.
I mean, like, have they found a groove that we did not expect like earlier in the year? Is it like I don't know. I don't know. I mean, they're still not scoring. I mean, that hasn't really changed.
The
Um,
scary thing is that they're 5 points out of a playoff spot from Utah.
so you're telling me there's a chance? No, I'm just kidding.
That's horrifying to
Well,
see.
if this was last year, Kyle, we could both agree. This was last year, we'd be so much further away from the playoffs
Oh
right now.
God, of course, of
Like
course. The way the season's
100%.
gone and the amount of parity going on in the league, absolutely.
At some point,
Um,
I think it's going to stop. I would imagine, but
that's normally how it goes, right? Like,
yeah,
the one team I think that's kind of held its consistency and give them credit is the Anaheim Ducks. They've been
big time.
really really good, big time. We'll see as the season goes on a little bit here. Edmonton's starting to kind of find their stride a little bit. You look at the Eastern Conference, it's starting to take form a little bit.
A
So
little bit.
you're starting to see it. There
Yeah.
is that surprise team of like, oh, the Ducks being there. Everything else is kind of like shaping into form. I think the Jets, who are kind of out right now, I think they'll find their way back in once they get Hellebuck back. But anyway, this is besides the point. Sharon Govich getting on the board was great. That was his 4th of the year. Zari getting a goal too. Like, that was nice to see as well. I know it was late in the game. It was 1-0 for the majority of it. Also, 16 seconds into the game is when Sharon Govich scored. I thought that was hilarious. Winning 64% of their faceoff, or I guess 64.9. 65% of their faceoff draws were successful. So much better from a center perspective as well. It means that Backlund, Kadri, and Frost had a good night. So it's good to see. Not a lot of it was probably a boring game as well too, but Wolf didn't make it seem that way just because he made save after save, and it was just big save after big save, and he's the one that really kept this to a 2-0 game. So credit to Wolf, and I thought he was sensational on Saturday night.
Yeah, and I think overall it's just, I get it. Like, we're in this position of like, if we're gonna suck, we're gonna suck. But I think also it's still important to have some good performances, especially from your core guys, right? So seeing, Dustin Wolf look like Dustin Wolf in this game. Sharon Govich, I would argue that maybe Sharon Govich is slowly starting to find a little bit more consistency. It's still not where it needs to be, but nonetheless. Morgan Frost, I feel like recently has been a lot better. One of the things that's interesting, I did see this today. Morgan Frost has actually had a ton of success, like from I hate to use this term, analytic perspective, 5-on-5.
Right.
And you look at how bad Buffalo is 5-on-5. It wouldn't surprise me if he found the back of the net tonight. I'm just saying, it wouldn't surprise me.
Interesting. Yeah, because they do host Buffalo tonight. That'll be barn burner in that one.
Will it be similar to the last time these two teams played? Who knows?
God, I hope not. I hope not.
Well,
it sounds like
JP's not playing, so
it's true. It sounds like Wolf's going to be getting another start though tonight.
He is the probable starter. Yep,
probable starter tonight for the Flames. That'll be good. In terms of just like, it feels like we're just bypassing a lot of these games at this point, just because
100%.
You want to get to the nitty gritty, right, of it. So,
right.
Elliot Freeman was reporting on Saturday that again, as much as it is the same teams, it's all talk at this point, but it's the same teams that were, everybody's checking in on. It's the Flames, it's the Canucks, it's the Predators. I guess at this point with the Flames, it's like they're still not willing to throw in the cards here just to fold and say screw it and let's get rid of it. So the only good thing about this is the fact that the Flames have played the most games out of all the teams that are out right now in the bottom of the standings there in the West. So you got to wait for other teams to kind of catch up. You hopefully they find ways to win.
Right.
What is concerning though is the fact that a lot of teams seem to be calling Vancouver and Nashville more than they are calling Calgary. Just makes it sound like the Flames have still don't want to fold yet, and that's alarming.
Yeah, and I think that I don't want to say that that both of those teams have like blown away more value than what the Flames can offer. I mean, look, obviously the number one talking point right now is Quinn Hughes, right? I mean, it's the nonstop
game up on Saturday
circus of that, and it'll be interesting. I think for New Jersey, it'll be interesting on Sunday when the Canucks are in New Jersey. I think that's a game that people need to keep their eye on, not just for the game itself, but if something happens, then who knows, right?
But it's a tease because there's
a tease
right
100%.
Now. There's too many things that the Devils need to do in order to make something like this happen, right? Because of the roster space and the cap space.
Right.
But anyway, aside from the point,
I think teams are calling to see. I think this is that point of like where teams are calling to see what exactly. Number one, if X, Y, and Z players available and what they're looking for in terms of, right? Like go back a couple weeks ago, right? When it was really focusing on like Kadri and Anderson and like we were kind of speculating as to what, if the Flames were to move them, what kind of deal would they be looking for? I think that that's where we're at with Nashville. I think with Nashville in particular, it wouldn't surprise me if one or two of Stamkos and O'Reilly get moved in the next 2 or 3 weeks, just because it sounds more and more likely.
Marcia so too.
There's a team, right? And Marcia so to a lesser extent. although they really haven't talked about him as much as they've talked about.
Surprisingly, yeah.
Well, I think Marchessault more than Stamkos, in my opinion, has fallen off in
Sure.
terms of that play. Some people argue that Stamkos needs to be on a better team. And ironically, he's been playing a lot better since those rumors have come out, which
Man,
is, but like you said, Kyle, at the end of the day, this is all just fluff. It's all just talk.
it is.
It's all rumors. It's Friedman. It's all these guys just literally trying to find anything to talk about on a day-to-day basis. Um, Other than that, I mean, it's just more of the same. It's like, we'll believe it when we see it. When somebody actually makes a move and it happens,
Yeah.
that will be interesting. But I'll tell you this. I think the first guy that gets moved, Kyle, from Vancouver is Kiefer Sherwood. I think he's the first guy that goes because his
Yeah, because
name
he's
is
had a good
starting to
year.
come up.
He's had a great year.
He's had
He
a
really has.
shockingly good year.
Yeah, and good on them, and maybe then they can get some value out of that, right?
Yeah.
Man, I literally had to block for the. Finally, I blocked Frank Saravalli this weekend. Can't
You've had
stand
enough.
him.
You've had enough.
Well, he put out the stupid eye emoji. It's like, oh, okay, we got
That
something
was
coming here.
hilarious.
We got something coming. Oh no, he's just announcing a guest on his show.
Yeah, he is the ultimate
Like,
troller for sure.
I can't stand him anymore. Like, no,
No.
I think people have gotten sick of him. So I'm
Yeah.
on that boat too. He can go away for all I care. Yeah, so it'll be interesting. Again, like we said, we're gonna see what happens here in December and January, and just kind of see how the cards fall where they may. Yeah, I mean, you got opponents coming up too. Like, we'll see how they play against Buffalo tonight. Man, and again, like it's scary to see that they're 5 points out of a playoff spot, and you wonder what Don and Murray Edwards are thinking here.
I would say this also. I think because of how much more success the Flames have had over the last 9 games, I think is another reason why teams are not calling as much to Calgary. Because I think that there's this belief that outside of the organization that maybe,
Sure.
the Flames are only 5 points out. Are they really out of it? No.
But I
mean,
go back, but like I
Yeah.
go back to the look at the teams that you've lost to and in the fashion that you lost them to. You
Right.
got hammered by the Lightning. You get hammered by Vegas, right? Like look at the like
Right.
just looking at the schedule and seeing the games that they've lost to these really good teams. It's like, you're nowhere sniffing this, man. Like the only respectable win I think that I've seen this year from Calgary was when they were in Minnesota or at home to Minnesota here recently.
Pretty much.
Like, Florida is not that. Like I'm gonna, for the sake of argument here, I do want to bring up like their wins. Like, let's take a real look here at their 11 wins that they've had this year, right? So your shootout win against Edmonton in game 1 is whatever, right? You've beaten, no joking here, the Rangers, who were terrible to start the year,
Yep.
Flyers, Blue Jackets, who are both, I mean, Flyers maybe recently.
Flyers
but
have
still,
been. Let's give the Flyers credit. They've been better of late. Last couple
better,
weeks.
right? The Sharks, who are still out of a playoff spot, okay?
He did
The
win.
Sabres,
Mm-hmm.
I'll give you one here. Dallas, I'll give you that. You wanted a shootout, though. You wanted a shootout. So, still take that for what it was. Vancouver, who sucks, dead last. Okay. Florida, injury riddle. I don't even know if they're going to get to the playoffs this year. And the one respectable win I had here, Minnesota, and then you had Utah on the weekend. So, at all of their wins that they've had, I look at 2 that I'm like, I'll give you credit on that.
Right.
You've beaten 2 teams who are comfortably in the playoffs that you're going to see probably in April, right? In Minnesota and Dallas. And that's pretty much it.
Pretty much, yeah.
So it doesn't convince me. It doesn't convince me at all.
Yeah, I get it. I get it because it would be one thing. It's not like last year where we had a handful of wins against like really good teams and
in low scoring games, yeah.
In low scoring games, right? The Flames want to try to win the same way they won last year, and the result has not been the same, obviously. I mean, that shouldn't surprise anybody who's watched and really like understanding where the Flames are right now. I think right now it's easy to say that the Flames are just going through a good stretch. I mean, everybody's going to it's literally the opposite of like when your team is losing 4 or 5 in a row. And a lot of time you could chalk it up to, oh, they're going through a bad stretch. This happens in an 82-game season. Like, they'll be fine. It wouldn't surprise me at some point in the near future, maybe it's tonight, where that kind of play and that success, it starts going back the other way again. Because it's more of, because eventually the way you play and how you play it on a fairly, routine night will eventually show moving forward. So it's like, I want to see Dustin Wolf continue to have good performances. I think it's important for him. I think it's important for him, not just, this year, but moving forward. And obviously, again, talking about maybe potentially with the Olympic team with the United States, who knows? There's still question marks with that.
Yeah.
But I think for a lot of us, when looking at the Flames, I think at the end of the day, we would still like to see them lose more than they win, but also maybe not necessarily get blown out, but get good losses, I guess, is the best way to kind of
It's
describe it.
tough, right? Like,
And
but
it's
at the end of the
tough,
day, a loss is a loss, a win is a win, right?
right?
Like, it's tough.
And
I
I
understand
think
though.
Flames fans would take losing a lot of games of regulation, like 3-2, 5-4,
Yeah.
whatever. And so you could at least say, like, oh, it was a good game, or like it was watchable,
Right.
but we still lost. We still got, we still got the result that we wanted at the end of the day.
You bet. More losses need to be tallied up here, though. Like, we just need to see more of it.
Recently, getting points in 7 of your last 9 is not doing it.
Not doing it at all, and not something that I'm happy
But think
with.
about like you said, think about the teams they've played.
Yeah.
And then you ask yourself, how much worse are the Flames comparatively to some of these other teams?
They just are. You look
They,
at their wins
yeah,
this year, and they just are not. Like, you've beaten 2 caliber teams this year that are going to be in the playoffs. That's it.
that's it.
Like,
That's
that's
it.
it. Like,
Yeah.
it's nothing
Like,
impressive, really. You
could we
haven't gone
sit
on the
here and
road
say,
and
Kyle, like, are we that much worse than Columbus? I would,
yeah.
like,
Oh yeah, for sure.
yeah, I
For
mean, it's
sure.
like,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Like, it's funny. Like, I want to take the comparison of like the New England Patriots this year for football,
sure, go ahead. Oh, this is
right?
good. This is good. Yeah.
Well, you look at their schedule, and it's like cookie cutter, easy wins for them, and they find
To
themselves
be
where they
fair, did
are.
anybody expect them to be this good this
No,
year?
and
I'd
they've
say
had a good
no.
win though
Right.
against the Patriots, but when, or excuse
Right.
me, against the Bills. But what I'm saying is, like,
Right.
a lot of times it's like, yeah, the record is what it says you are. It's like, okay, fair, but also just look at the, like, in terms of the Flames here, it's just like, look at the wins and losses they've had against these teams. Like,
Right.
the games that they've had against high caliber opponents, the majority of the time, outside of 2 wins here, they've gotten slaughtered. So
Exactly. And it's like, how do they win? And you got to look at it like, how are they losing game? Like, when they lose, what does it look like? When they win, what does
right.
it look like?
Like, you just, like, don't miscalculate here. You just lost last Tuesday to Nashville. You were down 5-0,
Yeah, that was
right?
that
You
was
were down
bad.
5-0. You lost
Sure.
5-1, but you were down 5-0. Like, just look at the games that they lost. Like, 5-2 to Chicago. You got shut out in Minnesota. You lost to St. Louis, right? Who's already down there bad. Like, you've lost to Nashville twice already this year. Lost to the Leafs, lost to the Senators, the Habs, the Jets twice, slapped by the Golden Knights. If you look at it in a span of 2 games, it's been 10-3. You got
Yeah.
slapped by the Golden Knights, right? Lost 5-1 to Vancouver,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like, lost 4. You haven't beaten the Blues this year. You lost again to the
Nope.
Blues. So it's just like it piled up, and I just, like, again, we're coming up here on a schedule. So you look at this week. Tonight you got Buffalo. You got to face Detroit, who's been good. They're in a playoff spot. Give them a lot of credit. Finally, LA, who's in a playoff spot. You go on the road. You go to San Jose. That's not going to be easy. At home to Seattle. Just looking at a couple of games ahead here, and then you look at this stretch here. This 5-game stretch where you have Vegas, you got the Oilers twice, you got the Bruins, and then the Flyers.
Mm.
And they've been playing well recently. So, and that's
Yeah.
to end the year. So anyway, like we're getting to the point where it's almost the Olympic break, and I'm scared that they're 5 points behind, and they're looking at this going, yeah, we're still in it.
Oh, 100%. I mean, everyone in that locker room, to a man, is definitely thinking that. I mean, look,
Yeah.
we say this all the time. To be fair to the players and coaches, they're not deliberately going out there trying to lose games.
No, and it's not on them at all. It's
Right.
on management to make the goddamn move. It's never on
Right.
the players.
Right. It's more of the coaches and players can only control what they can control, right? And that's going
Right.
out there and playing and doing whatever they can to win the game. Because ultimately, let's put it this way: players are not thinking about long term what they want or what they expect this team to be or what everything. They're thinking about the now because they're trying to prove themselves now for contract reasons, for performance reasons, this and the other thing.
You bet.
Well, at the end of the day, these players are going to go out there and do the best that they possibly can to win as many games as possible. They want to go out and try to win literally the rest of the games this year. Like,
You
that's
bet.
not And that's regardless of how good or bad you are, that's just a fact, right? So
Yeah. That's
it's
why, like,
Mhm.
now it's like I'm looking to sell. And like, how long are we going here with Anderson? Right? Like, we're getting to a point where his value's starting to get up again. It's like, great. Like, now let's fucking pull the trigger here. Like, so anyway, I think for a lot of Flames fans, it's just they're getting impatient, and also just like, when can we start making these moves? Because we don't care anymore. Like, we got to start getting some assets back here. We got to start seeing this, especially with
exactly.
a stacked draft coming up here. You got to see
Yeah.
something from it. So
I
anyway, yeah,
I
go
would
ahead.
I would argue to say that like maybe I don't want to I don't want to go too far ahead in the calendar, but I start to wonder about if the management is going to wait until maybe after World Juniors to kind of make that kind of decision, which I don't. Which I feel like with the I say this wholeheartedly, Kyle. I feel like with the Olympics, I think that's a big reason why so many teams are just not doing anything right now because
Mm,
I think that they don't want to do too much before we get to the Olympic break because then who knows what could happen to X, Y, and Z player or team by the time the Olympic break is over. So I think the Flames are just part of that. I'm not trying to defend Maloney
sure.
or anybody. I'm just saying that
It's
we're
almost like
hearing all these
somebody in the
rumors right
league.
now, right?
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that something's going to happen. Most likely, nothing's going to happen.
It's almost like a team's like scared to pull the trigger.
Oh
Who's
yeah,
gonna be the first person to pull that trigger, right?
100%,
And let the
100%.
domino
And maybe
effect
it's
fall.
Vancouver. Maybe it is Vancouver. Maybe everybody's waiting for Vancouver to make a move.
I guarantee you, Vancouver or Nashville is gonna make the first move.
One of them.
Yeah, I can't see Calgary doing it because
No, Calgary
I
became more
kind
of the
of
second tier option, I think, for a lot of teams over the
I
last
kind
couple
of
weeks.
understand though, because, and this is the only thing I'm defending them for, is I guess they want to see where the market's at when Vancouver and Nashville sell like a Stamkos, or Sherwood or something like that. Like, you want to
Sure.
see what the market's going to be at when they go, and you go, okay, now let's
Yeah.
start seeing. We're going to get a clearer picture of what we're going to get back here.
And the one thing I'll say is this: if I'll just say this, if Quinn Hughes gets moved this year, if he does
Hmm.
at some point, right?
Off season, maybe, yeah.
Right. Or I mean, again, it just depends. Like I'll just use it as an example. Let's say for all intents and purposes, Quinn Hughes gets moved in the next month or whatever,
Mhm.
right? Do not be surprised if a lot of teams then start calling Calgary again for Anderson.
Yeah,
Because I think a lot of teams who might be looking for defensive help are not necessarily looking to try to acquire Quinn Hughes. I think they want to see where it goes and see if
sure.
actually something happens. And then once that happens,
If
then
it happens,
obviously
yes.
Anderson is the next domino to fall. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah, I for Anderson though, for me, I know I just said it with the like wanting to set the market though. I want to set it with Anderson.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? I want to be the one to set the market with Anderson,
Sure,
right? Because that way, like, I feel like if I know that if there's somebody out there who's around his value out there that gets dealt, that's not going to be good for us, because then I think his value depreciates due to that. So
for sure.
I,
Yeah,
I would like to see him set the market for defensemen and then let the dominoes fall where they may,
right.
right?
But I
So
think as long
yeah,
as they're like 5 points out of a playoff spot, it just doesn't feel like that there's any reason. You would have like it takes a certain kind of person to still like see beyond what the present moment is to then
okay.
say like, look, we're not there yet. And that's where again it comes down to the question with Craig Conroy, how much control does Craig really have to make moves?
We're going to find out very shortly. We're
Sure.
going to find out very soon. Last little piece of news to bring up with the Flames, though, is today they did announce that Hunter Brustevich is going to be brought up for tonight. Jake Bean is going to be out of it due to an injury. So Bean will be out, and we believe that Brustevich will be in tonight for the Flames. Again, Flames hosting the Buffalo Sabres for a split second there. I was going to say Bills. That would be. I mean, they did play in
Right.
a snow game yesterday,
There was a snow game yesterday. Yeah.
So, all right, let's take a quick breather here. We'll be back. We'll talk World Juniors afterwards after this break. Every yard, every sack, every interception, and every touchdown. With Pick Six, DraftKings' newest game, every snap can turn into a big-time payout. This isn't just watching the game. This is playing to win. And here's how it works. Pick more or less or two or more player stats. The better your picks, the bigger your payout. It's that simple. And here's the kickoff bonus. New DraftKings customers can get $50 pick six credits with just a $5 entry on your first pick set. You know the game. Now make it pay. Download the DraftKings Pick 6 app now and use code THPN. That's code THPN to play just $5 and get $50 in Pick 6 credits. You make the call, ride the upside. It's in partnership with DraftKings Pick 6. The crown is yours. You got a gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org in Connecticut. You must be 18 plus age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Pick 6 not available everywhere, including New York and Ontario. Void where prohibited. One per new customer. Bonus awarded as non-withdrawable Pick 6 credits that expire in 14 days. Terms at pick6.draftkings.com/promos. Limited time offer.
The holidays are here, and that means it's the most wonderful time of the year to save with Rakuten. Use Rakuten to stack cash back at your favorite stores on top of holiday sales. That's savings on savings. And with Rakuten, you can get cash back on gifts for everyone on your list, from toys for the kids to kitchen gear for the person who loves to cook, to electronics for everyone, and you can even save on something for yourself. Just shop the stores that you love, and cash back is automatically added to your account. And you can choose to get paid via Interact e-Transfer, PayPal, or checking. Join for free today and get a new member bonus after minimum qualifying purchases. Just go to Rakuten.ca, download the app, or install the browser extension, guys. That's Rakuten with an Rakuten for Rakuten. Terms and conditions apply.
Right. Got the World Juniors right around the corner, and fun announcements roster announcements came out today as Team Canada and Team USA. I know the US did it last week, but we didn't get a chance to look at it. Canada just unveiled their roster this morning. I know Sweden unveiled their roster last week. For Flames fans, Theo Stocksilius was not named to the Sweden World Junior roster, which kind of sucks because you want to see that, right? I believe also to the U.S. national team, no Cullen Potter. And a name that's been mentioned actually a lot is Ethan Wattenbach, who was also a draft pick for the Flames last year in this past draft, who has been sensational. Apparently, he's been on a tear in college as well, too. So he's been sensational. For some reason, I guess he was left off the team as well. Neil, do you want to start with Canada or the U.S.? Which one do you want to go with?
Let's start with Canada.
You want to start with Canada? Okay. All right. So the Canadian national team was announced this morning. For Flames fans, it's good to know that, yes, Zane Parekh was announced to the team. So let's take a look at the rest of the roster here, looking at their forwards. Number one consensus draft pick, possibly coming up in the draft this year, Gavin McKenna. Brady Martin, who was picked high last year. Michael Misa, who was second overall last year. Tij Ginla, Carter Bear, Cole Beaudin, Cole Reshny. Flames fan is so they're going to love that. So he's going to center probably at the World Juniors here, which is going to be great. Braden Coots, who was selected just before Reshny was. Jet Luchenko, Gold Glove Storm. He was traded, but that's okay. Jake O'Brien, Caleb Denore, also another draft pick from last year. Liam Greentree, Porter Martone, high draft pick from last year. Sam O'Reilly from I believe he's now in Tampa Bay. They traded him for Isaac Howard. Michael Haig to round out the forwards. Defensively, Cameron Reed, who's going to be probably a top 5 draft pick. He plays for the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds right now on defense. Kayshawn Atchison, who was drafted 17th overall last year to the Islanders. Carson Carroll's not familiar to me. Ethan McKenzie, not familiar to me. Jackson Smith, Harrison Brunecki, Zane Parekh, Ben Danford, Leafs draft pick. Keaton Verhoff, who's going to be a top 3 pick as well, too, in the upcoming draft. And then Joshua Ravensburg in goal, who was a pick last year. Carter George, who's been late in the OHL up this year so far. And Jack Ivankovic as well, too, who was, I believe, drafted last year. Very good goaltending-wise. Overall, my quick perspective here, damn, this is a real good Canadian team, man. It's solid all the way around. They're big. They're taking size now over. There's no guys that are under 5'11" on this team. It's a big, fast team. I think we know they're a threat every year. Doesn't always means it's going to work out here. Neil, I find it hard to believe that this team will at least appear in the gold medal game this year. I just can't see them not making it, just because I think they're so deep. Their forward unit is insane. with the amount of draft eligible the guys they have there. And you've got as well too Zane Parekh, who's going to be having big minutes for the team as well too, who've had NHL minutes. Like he's going to have a lot of say in this tournament coming up here. I also read that I think there's some guys that they left off the roster. They're leaving it open. Berkeley Catton was one of them from Seattle. He might possibly be on the team. That was one. I know there was another two. I'm just quickly looking at it here. Yeah, actually, Catton might not make it, but overall, it's still. Oh, Sam Dickinson was the other guy I was going to mention. Sam Dickinson, who was 11th in last year's draft, in the draft with Celebrini. My mistake. He was picked 11th, and they're also leaving a spot open just in case they decide to loan him back because he's currently out there playing in San Jose. And then we'll just kind of see how it goes from there. So, yeah. What are your thoughts? Team Canada's roster here.
I think this is one of the more balanced teams we've seen Canada throw out there for the World Juniors in a few years now. I think that one of the big criticisms that a lot of Canadian fans have, at least that I've read and I've seen, is that, again, you mentioned about a lot of undersized kids, not a lot of, I guess, beef would be maybe the best word to use, but like you mentioned, they go a lot bigger. Definitely still a ton of skill with guys like Michael Misa, Iginla, Coots, obviously Gavin McKenna. I mean, this is one of the more talented teams. The back end, I think, is very strong, and like you mentioned, even with a guy like Zane Parekh, you have NHL experience, which is huge, I think, for this team. And this is one of the deeper goaltending trios I've seen Canada have too, in terms of just their overall production.
Yeah.
I would imagine that Carter George is going to end up being the starter. Like, right?
That's my guess. Yeah.
But that's the funny thing, Kyle. I think any of these three guys could take the reins right away.
I agree. Yeah.
I think what you're going to see, at least in the early going, is Canada's going to throw out each guy for maybe at least a game just to see what the vibe is, what the flow is, and then go from there. But I would imagine that Carter George, at least right now, I would say is probably the guy that I'm expecting. But Sam O'Reilly, I really, really like his game overall. I think he's a tremendous kind of two-way player. Cole Rushney, as we know, obviously with Flames. I think it's great that the Flames have more than one guy on this team, because I think just like having multiple guys that are very likely going to end up, playing together, especially in the NHL, I think is huge. I'm really interested to see how Michael Misa plays in this tournament, because he's been getting a lot of hype with the Sharks, not just obviously with the Barracuda, but also obviously with the short time he's been in the NHL. They really like him. San Jose really likes him and looks at him as a guy that could be another top tier forward for that young Sharks team that's starting to really find their groove right now offensively, which just, it's just a huge assortment of riches for them. But yeah, it's a really, really dangerous Canadian team that, like, if they can put it together, there's no reason that they can't go to the gold medal game and ultimately even win it.
I think just looking at past teams, I think this has been the most dangerous team in quite a while, I would argue, probably since their last gold medal run. It's been a really tough time for the Canadians in the last couple of years. But yeah, this is a really dangerous team. The one thing I'm hoping for, just Flames perspective here, I'm kind of hoping that Rushney doesn't get buried down on the third or the fourth line. I'd like to see him play second line minutes. Like, we know, like, Gavin McKenna is going to be first line center, no question about it.
1,000%.
I would ideally like to see Rushney at the top paired with like Brady Martin here, and possibly, I don't know, maybe if Sam O'Reilly might maybe get that, but for Rushney's perspective, I'd like to see him paired with like a Porter Martone and maybe a Tijagin or something along those lines. I would just ideally like to see that, but yeah, I just think, like, defensively, the six guys that I'm looking at here, like Atchison, Brunecki, Danford, Parekh, Cameron Reed, and Keaton Verhoff are probably your six. It's a really dangerous team. Now, is that going to translate? We're going to find out, because you have to mesh, right? Like, it's just big names,
because it's a quick tournament. I mean, you're not going to have that much time to practice. and get going, and then you're thrown right into it. So it's going to be interesting because a lot of these guys don't have any experience playing with one another. So
Right.
while the talent is there, certainly it's, as you know, the great Herb Brooks once said, you don't win on talent alone. That's
Oh,
just
excuse
the
me.
reality of it. So it's, can these guys
That-
come together as a team and play as a collective unit? Because if they can, this is a really, really, really dangerous Canadian team.
It's super dangerous. Let's get to another dangerous team, always in the defending gold medalists here in the Americans. I think it's in Canada this year too, right? They're in Minnesota for the World Juniors.
Minnesota. Yep. Hmm.
Minnesota, thank you. I thought they
Hmm.
were in Canada again for some reason. Anyway, so yeah,
I think that's next year. I think that's next year.
right,
Could be
right,
wrong
right,
about that. Yes,
right.
St. Paul. Yeah, St. Paul, Minnesota. Hmm.
Do you want to run through the American team?
Yeah, sure. So you got Asher Bennett, who is he was drafted in the 5th round this year by Edmonton. Um, he's taller. I'll just say this: he's taller than his 6'1" frame, in my opinion. Now,
Sure.
great, the skates give you a little bit more height, but nonetheless. Then you got Camille Bednarik, plays at Boston University. There's a lot of college kids in this one, which is great. Henry Bushevich, um, is
Really
he
good
related?
for the line.
I'm trying to remember. He's not related to the Flames, or is that his?
He might be. He might be. I can't remember
Yeah, I'm
actually.
trying to figure that
But
out.
he's been really good with the London Knights though this year. He's been
Yeah,
fantastic. Yeah.
right. And also, again, 6'3". You're going to notice a pattern as well with the U.S.
Yeah.
Then you got Trevor Connolly. Then you got Cole, obviously Cole Easterman, who, I mean, to put it bluntly, he is the guy that the U.S. is going to look to offensively.
Yeah. You bet.
Just because of what he did last year, what his play is overall. EJ Embry, Blake Fiddler, James Higgins, who I'm still surprised, Kyle. I'm still surprised that he fell to the Bruins in the draft. I'm still very surprised by
It's
that.
unbelievable.
Reminds me
Unbelievable.
of Shane Wright, kind of a Shane Wright kind of situation.
Mhm.
But again, he's arguably not like one of, if not the shortest player on this team. But nonetheless, what he's doing at Boston College is tremendous. Very, very talented. One of the fastest players I've ever seen. This kid
Right.
is got wheels. Caleb Heil, Logan Hensler, Will Horkoff, Cole Hudson, who, if you are a Canadians fan, you know exactly why that name sounds familiar.
Mhm.
That's Lane's little brother. And they are, it's so funny, Kyle, because it reminds me of like when Luke Hughes was coming out of the draft, people were saying he was going to be the best of the three, which is really debatable now.
Oh,
But people are saying that with Cole Hudson, he might be better than Lane, which is
give
kind of
him time.
crazy.
Give him time. He's with Washington because he was a second
Give him
round pick.
time. He's this is classic Capitals, like getting it, just
Yeah, of
getting
course.
top tier guy. Another Washington guy, Nick Kemp, as well, 6'2" goaltender playing at Notre Dame right now. Adam Kyber, Jacob, I might butcher this name, Kvasnica,
Yeah, I
is
think you
playing
got
over,
that.
and then Kyle Riker Lee, man, playing at Michigan State. This kid's a gamer. This kid is an absolute gamer. And this is a guy that's going to be a nightmare for a lot of teams. Cole McKinney, Brendan McMorrow, LJ Mooney, Luke Osborne, Max Plant, Chase Ride, AJ Wright Yeltz. I might have, again, butchered that again. Dakota Rayum Mullen, which I swear you would think that he was not American. And then for some people, you might remember this kid from last year, Teddy Stiga, who his one goal in the
Yeah,
entire tournament just so happened to be the golden goal for the
the
United
game
States.
winner. Yeah.
Teddy Stiga, Nashville Predators pick. AJ Spalasi, who I just missed over from Chicago. Shane Van Sagi, and then Brody Zimmer. Zimmer.
So,
Yep.
question then is who's going to be the starting goaltender, do you think, for the Americans? Because you've got AJ Rillets here from
Right.
Penticton,
Mhm.
who's draft eligible this year. Nick Kemp, who was a 4th-round pick for Washington. And then you also have Caleb Heil, who plays for Madison in the USHL. He was a 7th-round pick. So
Yeah.
my concern a little bit is like, just for the US, because I think like, I don't think with a lot of people are realizing is that a lot of the college kids that are coming into the fold here on Team USA, like just because they don't get a lot of eyes on them, for screen time here, doesn't mean they can't, necessarily do anything here. I
Sure.
just think that they're, some of the bigger guys who will probably lead this team, like the Eisermans, the Hagans of the world, Logan Hensler on the back end, goaltending wise, like where do you stand on that?
Goaltending is the biggest question mark. Anybody will tell you that because of just what the U.S. has had the last couple of years, and then going into this year, it's much more of an unknown. It's much more of an unknown, and I think what you're going to end up seeing is it's an open job right now. I don't think that there's anybody that stands out right now. It's more of just got to see how it all goes. I would say though, given the way he's played at Notre Dame this year, I think Nick Kemp would be my front runner currently. But again, things could change. And something to keep in mind as well with Caleb Heil is that while he does have a lot of good potential,
Okay.
he is only playing in the USHL right now.
Mm,
And as we
okay.
know, that is, well, there is a lot of talent, obviously, in the USHL. Don't get me wrong.
Sure.
The level of talent, at least right now, like it's going to be a challenge.
It is.
It's going to be a good challenge for him, though, because obviously you want to see where he goes beyond the USHL, whether he's going to go to college. Maybe he'll play in juniors, who knows? But you're starting to see with a lot more American kids, Kyle, and this shouldn't surprise you. A lot more American kids, especially with now NIL being involved, they're going to end up going more and playing in college than maybe going the junior route just for that one reason. But one thing that's really interesting, Kyle, is that all of these guys are well over 6 foot and they play
Right.
big in front of their net, which might be to the benefit of the U.S. But they have a very solid defensive core as well. I think offense is going to be their strong suit this year. It's going to be about speed. It's going to be about, getting a lot of pucks to the net. And that'll be really how I think you're going to see it this year. You just have a lot of inexperience between the pipes. And that may end up hurting the U.S. But, again, if the defense is playing as well as it's capable of on paper, they give themselves as good of a chance as anybody to defend their gold and go on a run this year.
Okay. I did want to bring up. I'm just quickly finding them now because I think they're worth mentioning. Yesterday, Team Sweden finalized their roster for the upcoming World Juniors here. I just wanted to quickly find it or here we can go on the actual website and grab them here. And also too, it's going to be fascinating with the group stage this year.
Oh yeah.
Oh, sorry, 2020. That was 2025. My bad. Yeah, it's just going to be awesome to watch the group stage this year, knowing that the way that it kind of phases out a little bit, right?
Mhm.
Like it being in the US too. Like it doesn't happen often, but when it does, like it's always a good sign. So I wanted to bring this up real quick and then we'll wrap it up for a day, I think.
Yep.
But because I think we have the groups for the World Juniors this year. So interesting group for the US because you're in with Sweden, Slovakia, who can surprise people, and then Germany and Switzerland. But I would imagine that it probably comes down to a game between Sweden and the US for tops in that group. And Group B is fascinating because it's Czechia who also surprises people maybe more than Slovakia here,
Right.
Finland, and then Canada. So a bit of a tougher path there in Group B on that front. So I just wanted to bring up Sweden here because I think they have not announced their roster. Anyway, one of the big names though being Frundell, I think was leading the charge there.
Sure.
Sandin Palika is also going to be there too. So kind of some of the usual suspects I would imagine for Team Sweden. So we're 2 weeks away. It's getting close. Do you have any early I won't say predictions because we'll do that just before we go to winter break.
Later
So
closer to.
yeah. Do you have any what's your biggest surprise do you think that's going to happen at the World Juniors this year?
I think the biggest surprise is going to be Slovakia because of how much that country has grown over time with their overall program. You're seeing more guys in the NHL, and they've been able to compete a lot more at these higher levels, whether it's at the World Juniors, whether it's World Championships this past year. I think that they're going to end up being a lot harder to beat than people are expecting them to. I don't doubt that, again, that group is going to come down, at least from the top, it's going to come down to between USA and Sweden. But I think that Slovakia is a very close third in that. And I think that they're going to surprise some people.
I think so too. I agree.
The other thing I'll say that I wonder to myself is with Finland, they had a strong tournament last year. I wonder if they're going to have a step back. Maybe not as
Look at
maybe not
Latvia
as
last year.
successful as they
Look
were
what happened to
last year.
Latvia.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And
Latvia beat
Latvia's
Canada
always
last year.
right. And Latvia has routinely found a way to have that one major upset in these tournaments. It's always, and
Yep.
it could be Canada if they're not careful. It could be, it's
I can't see it. I wasn't surprised last year when Canada lost. I just think the group that they assembled was kind of trash, to be honest. It didn't look that good. The way that I look at the roster this year, this is like a revamp. Like, okay, this seems
sure.
really
And
promising.
it's got to be a redemption arc for them because of
Yeah.
how they played
Oh,
last
they're
year. And
pissed. They are pissed.
100%. So I think I'll put it this way. I don't think we're going to see as many like blowouts as we've seen in years past. I think some of these smaller countries, Czechia to a lesser extent, Denmark, Latvia, Slovakia, you're starting to see them get better. You're starting to
Yeah.
see more talent coming through the ranks. And with guys from that country having the success that they do in the NHL, that is motivating a lot more of these kids to play hockey, develop in hockey, and ultimately play on these levels. And
You
that's the
bet.
way I look at it. Like, you think about Denmark, even last year in the World Championships, right? I mean, they
It's
surprised
true.
a lot of people,
It's true.
And
That's
so,
right.
we'll see how they are in the World Juniors because it's a completely different kind of situation. But overall, I think we're in for a fun tournament, honestly. I think we're in for a lot of good games.
Couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more. Actually, yeah. So next week we'll get our predictions in because we have one more episode, and then I'm not going to be here on the 22nd of December. I will be traveling that day. Well, the day before, but also my parents' Wi-Fi sucks down there, so I can never
There you
rely
go.
on them with good Wi-Fi. And also it's Christmas break for the week, so we'll give it a rest for that week. On the 29th, I will also be live for one of the World Junior Games. I believe it's on that night, so I'll be there for that, and we'll also get an episode out, I'm sure, right before the end of the year. So one more before 1 week break, and then we'll rock and
It's
roll.
World Juniors, and then literally a month later, it's the Olympics. We're
It's
getting
Olympics,
a lot of internet.
a lot of big things coming up.
Are they doing? They're going to do the World Championships this year, right? They're going to do that.
Yeah, I think
We're getting
so.
a lot of international hockey this year. A lot, which is great.
Keep it up. We love to see it. All right, good stuff. Yeah, good to have you again, Neil, as always. And
Likewise.
yeah, we'll be back one more episode next week, everybody, and then we'll be on break for the Christmas week, and then we'll be back after that. So have a great week, everyone, and we'll chat to you again next Monday.
Later,
Peace.
guys.